Hey, I'm James McDougall.
I'm Lexi Grabowski.
I'm Briar Knowles.
My name is Jessica Malka.
I'm Christy Murdoch.
It's Alaska Leigh.
I am Natasha Prasad.
I'm Megan Hemingway.
I'm Leanne Johnson.
My name is Snezhana Baikova.
I'm Kate Schroeder.
My name is Natasha Hurlbert.
My name is Rachel.
My name is Deborah Lee Smith.
I'm Rebecca Amzalag.
And I'm an actress and producer.
I'm an actress based in New York City.
Writer, actress.
I'm an actor.
Actor and filmmaker.
I'm an actress based in Los Angeles.
And I'm an actor, singer-songwriter.
I'm an actress.
I'm a model actress based out of Calgary, Alberta.
I'm an actor and a musician.
I am an actress based in Toronto, and I want to thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for watching. And thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for tuning in to the Chat with Dan show. Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan. For today, we have on the show the incredible, amazing, legendary, badass superstar Alaska. Alaska, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
And fantastic. I mean, what better way to have an epic Tuesday than to be chatting with someone as badass as you know what I mean?
Thank you. I'll take it.
There you go. Well, you better get ready because I'm going to call you badass a bunch of times on this interview. Anyway. Now, before we start with the interview, I want to thank those who are watching this. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this interview. And without further more, let's begin. So for those who don't know who is the amazing badass Alaska, can you please tell us who you are?
Well, my name is Alaska Leigh. I'm an actress. I'm Australian, but I live in Vancouver, BC now, which is kind of cool. Yeah, and I've just spent my life in the arts and growing up in the arts and still loving it, doing it. So yeah, that's me.
There you go. All right. Now, let's go back in time and tell me where this passion for the arts started.
Well, I think I was a pretty shy kid. So my parents put me in dance when I was two and a half, I think. So just walking. And I just started doing dance and kind of realized as I grew up and was in competitive dance that the thing that I really, really loved was the storytelling aspect of it and the performance aspect of it. And that was the part that I was like really good at. So through that, I kind of fell into acting and musical theater first and then transitioned into film. And that's where, I mean, I love all performance art, but film acting is like one of my like heart and soul.
Number
you
one.
know?
Yeah. And what were some of the challenges that you had when you were basically when you decided that you want to make this as a career? Tell me what were some of those first challenges?
Well, I think that any actor would tell you this is a rough career to get into. Yeah. And so many people will tell you that you can't do it and that it's unrealistic. And I think especially growing up from my family's artistic, but I am not from an arts family. Both my parents are super math sciencey brained. So trying to tell them that this is what I wanted was just like kind of, they were not for it at first. And growing up in Australia where there is an industry in Australia and it is getting a lot better, but it is not very big and easy to kind of get into.
Yep.
So I think just constantly people that I love and respect their opinion so much, like my family kind of telling me that it's not really a viable option for me was a really hard thing at first, but they're really supportive and lovely now. So that's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do wonder why even till this day, whenever you want to say that you want to have a career in arts or even sports as well, that they will that those careers have like this type of like what is the word here?
Like stigma.
Yeah, it's gonna be impossible for you to actually reach something,
Yeah.
When you actually think about, I mean, even if you wanna, I don't know, if you wanna become a doctor, economist, lawyer, whatever. I mean, if you think about the amount of hours you need to prepare, it's it's basically kind of the same stuff here.
Yeah, I agree. Every career is about tenacity and really hard work. And I think that people are just scared of things they don't know anything about. And I think to people who aren't in arts or sport, like for me, I don't know anything about sport.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't know if I had a kid one day who'd wanted to go into sport. I would have no clue. So I think it's just a kind of fear thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I have noticed that with some of the actors that I've interviewed who that told me like their backstory, and also with mine back when I was a kid, and I told them that I want to become a musician. They were telling me
Yeah.
like, no, like don't do
Yeah,
that.
right?
I mean, of course, that they are in a position that since they don't know about it, they're kind of a little bit afraid that you were not, that you. I mean, at the end, they want the best for you, and they don't want you to starve, which totally
Yeah,
makes sense.
exactly. Yeah.
You know, but as I got older, I was like, you know what? If everything is difficult, exactly the same thing because you can be super prepared, but if you are looking for a job, then you will go for this job interview, and it's kind of
Yeah.
going to an audition. I would say,
Yeah.
you need to bring your A game in order for them to be like, okay, I'm gonna hire you, or be like, you know what, we choose somebody else. So
Yeah, and I know, like, it's really competitive, things like arts and sports and all of that. It's a super competitive career, so I guess it's like the worry of not being able to get the job, but at the end of the day, you have to live your life for you, and if this is what you want, then
yeah, yeah, preach on that. I love it.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving on here a little bit, tell me
Mhm.
like how you prepare a character. Now, of course, that I understand it depends on the role, but like, what is your
Yeah.
initial, but what is like your initial approach when you are about to dive into this process?
Yeah, for me, the first thing that I ever do is try and absorb any and all content that I have been given with said character. So if we've been given full scripts, full episodes, any breakdowns, anything that they want, observing the wardrobe that they put you in and costume fittings to try and pull out any little pieces that I can to make the person or the thing, if you're not playing a person, I guess, a real like living being.
Mm.
So that's really the first thing I do, and then I, do the classic actor stuff. I like to break down my scripts and try and get as much of the subtext and all of the information and given circumstances and everything in my head. So when I get on set or on stage, I can just let it go.
And do you usually take your characters home, and has that ever affected you in a negative way?
I do a little. I think especially when I'm on like a project for a day or so, it doesn't happen as much. And I am pretty good at letting them go, I will say. But when you're playing someone for kind of weeks, it does stick with you a little bit, or elements
Yeah.
will stick with you. But I've never really played any characters thus far in my career anyway, who have really kind of struck me in a negative sense in my real life. Like I've never really taken anything on that's been super, super heavy or anything.
Yeah. And has it ever happened to you that you will say, I don't know, like a quote, or you would be reacting to something as one of your characters before and be like, I just played one of my characters. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely done that before. I think that I did a show for quite a long period of time in theater because you rehearse for ages and then you do it. So you're in this world for like months on end.
mhm,
And I was doing Chicago, and I would find that I would react really kind of sassily to situations. Like I can be a pretty sassy person, but more so than usual. And then realize that it was kind of like I was bringing that home from the job a little. So that's probably
yeah,
the biggest one.
yeah, yeah. I wonder, like, what would happen, like, if you were, like, if you played, for example, on your case, that you played this character for so many, yeah, for so long, and you
Yeah.
would tend to have like small pieces of it that's yeah, that stick with you for the
Yeah,
future.
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I try to take a piece of everyone I play with me, just continuing on, because I feel like you learn things from every character that you
Yeah,
play. So
absolutely. And
yeah.
is there any type of character that you would refuse to play, maybe because the message it's something that you don't believe?
Yeah, but I'm sure there are so many things that I'd be like, absolutely not.
Mm.
I The only one I can think of, that I haven't had many like actual film things that I've kind of looked at and been like, no. I'm sure I would see some, but I refuse to do a commercial actually about oil drilling because
Oil
it's
drilling,
just,
okay.
yeah, because it's just not my values personally. And I
Yeah.
think that when you're representing something, you also are a representative of said thing. I mean, my business is my face, like you can see me on it. So I don't really want to represent anything that I don't agree with or don't believe in, or,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's
yeah,
true. Yeah, 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 that makes sense because I mean, at the end of the day, you're gonna see that commercial over and over, and then people
yeah,
are gonna relate that commercial to you. So every time they see
yeah,
you, you're gonna be like, "Oh, you're on this commercial."
exactly.
Yeah,
I
that makes
mean,
sense.
but I've done some like fast food ones and stuff, and it's not like I don't believe in that, but it's like whatever.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like when you were doing like fast food commercials, I have a question. Like,
Mhm.
so because I mean those ones are I mean I love watching commercials every now and then because they're hilarious. You know, like their
Yeah, that's so
reactions and
funny.
everything. They're like
Yeah.
super. You know, so when it's like a fast food commercial, tell me like the like what is the process to it, like behind the scenes that we just don't know about it. Like, do you usually
My
give you
gosh.
like do they usually give you like the actual burger, let's say you're gonna eat, or they're gonna give you
Yeah,
like a like
they
how's that work?
do. They do. They give you the actual burger. I had mine. I did a Carl's Jr. commercial.
That's cool.
And they gave me the burger, but there are about 50 burgers on set because I every time I had to take like that, you know, the iconic like bite of the burger,
Mm-hmm.
they would give me a new one. My lips were almost bleeding by the end of it from biting into so much bread and like crispy chicken, but they let you spit it out. So I'd kind of take the
Oh,
bite
okay.
and then react and then spit it.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine me trying to take 50 bites of a burger?
Yeah,
I'd be so full.
yeah, plus I would be ended up being vegetarian or something like that. You know, be like, you know what? I'm sick of
Yeah.
meat, you know? Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And you know, I've been thinking about I've been thinking about like this idea, like what will happen, for example, if I go to a Carl Jr., McDonald's, Burger King, you know, that place like that. I order a hamburger and I will start eating exactly as they promoted on their commercials. You know, like this very kind of
Right?
like this very kind of orgasmic session in which I'm eating, you know, things like that, and see
Yep.
people's reaction to be like what the hell is wrong with this guy?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
so funny the way they make you take the bite.
yeah, I
But
bet.
I mean, it looks good in the end goal. So
Yeah, yeah, and that's really cool. And tell me, like, has it like during this whole process of your character creation, has it ever happened to you that you got stuck? And if you got stuck, how you managed to kind of overcome the situation and continue with this whole character creation?
like getting stuck in like my ideas and
Yeah.
creating the character.
Mhm.
Um, Not really for any professional jobs. I think definitely though in acting class I've gotten stuck before because I think in class you can push the ideals of who you can play a little bit more. Um, and I've definitely looked at some characters and gotten a bit stuck of how I was going to do it, and I didn't really know
Yeah.
where to pull that person from because it's creating characters is all about pulling parts of you up and pushing other parts of you down, right? So it's
Mm.
just kind of working out what I can pull them from. And that can be hard sometimes or difficult, but usually I get through it. I mean, touch wood, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it might be super difficult, right? The fact that you want to make this character as relatable as possible, you
yeah,
know? I mean, at the end, you want the audience to remember your character,
exactly.
which I find that amazing when they manage to do that, that you will remember this character for the rest of your life. You know, characters, I
Yeah,
don't know, like the ones from Back to the Future or
yeah,
Breaking
exactly.
Bad, you know, like those type of
hmm
characters that whenever you see a reference, you're like, you already catch it, you know, things like that.
Yeah, and especially with characters that are a little more unlikable, you need to find a way in their unlikableness to still make them likable enough for the audience,
Hmm,
and that
hmm.
can be challenging sometimes if the character's kind of mean or something, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And is there anything you would have like to yeah, like is there anything you have like told to yourself before jumping into this whole acting career?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is that things I would say to myself and say to myself every day is just take risks. I wish I knew everyone tells you that, but I wish I knew the extent of that because life, like the great things in life don't happen when you're in your comfort zone. You need to
Mm,
push yourself out of your comfort zone constantly
yeah,
and just taking risks like in my work and in my life and doing something every day that makes me a little uncomfortable so I can learn to use the energy. That is like the biggest piece of advice that I
yeah,
would give myself and anybody really.
yeah. And like when you decided to move to Canada and leave Australia,
Mhm.
how tough was that? You know, I mean, at the end of the day, even though the fact that yes, it's kind of the same language, you know,
Yeah.
but it's a total different culture and weather. So how was the
Yeah.
whole challenging?
It was look, it was I expected it to be challenging. Like, of course, it was so challenging leaving everything I knew and all of my family and all my friends at the time, most of my best friends still. It's really hard living away from them and moving away from them, but I didn't expect there to be such kind of it's still, you know, like a similar type country. They speak English as like a predominant language, and French, I guess. I don't know French. I wish I did, but
Mm-mm.
culturally, there is a pretty big difference between Australians and Canadians, I would say, and I just really didn't expect that. So that was kind of a bit jarring for me at first, but it's just getting used to it, getting used to like where you fit into this world and if it's worth it. See, taking risks, moving across the world by myself, you know?
Yeah. And what was like the first like what is the word to it? Like the first shock or like the first yeah, like the first thing you saw that they were different cultures and you were like that is not how we do things on my on back home.
Yeah, it's for me, the first thing that really got me was the humor. Australians and I feel like British people as well can be very dry and very kind of it almost appears mean with our humor
Mm,
sometimes.
mm,
And I'm very sarcastic. And
mm.
a lot of people here kind of will take it as being quite serious until they get to know you a little bit and know your
Okay.
humor.
Interesting.
So that can be a little bit difficult because at first I feel like people were just like, "Who is this girl?" But
Mm,
I got used to it. And Canadians are very nice. That's
yeah.
another thing,
Yeah. That's
which can be a
that's really
little like,
cool.
yeah,
That's really cool. And it's so, even though yeah, I find that also super funny whenever like for example some years ago I lived in Germany for a while, and
yeah,
for example they don't understand sarcasm at all, and I tend to
yeah,
be a very sarcastic person, especially if like super sarcastic. So every now and then
same. So
I will
yeah,
be sarcastic, and they will actually take it in a mean way, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
I mean, sometimes it would be sarcastic in a mean way, of course, but sometimes it's not. So I will be like, okay, interesting. So I managed to kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna be sarcastic now. So,
yeah.
give you
Or
like a
like
heads up.
you have to do the jokes after.
Yeah, like
Like you
you
have to
see,
make
yeah,
it obvious that it was sarcasm. Because I think that's another thing is we kind of almost bully each other out of love in
yeah,
Australia a little,
yeah.
and they don't really do that here. So it's just watching that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
as I said, I mean, I tend to do that, but not in a bad way at all.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So it's out of love.
yeah, yeah. Now, like moving on here, like what has been your worst audition ever?
Oh gosh. I've done some bad ones. I mean, we all love to talk about the good ones that we absolutely killed. I think But I think the worst one ever, I was in my first couple of months here. I was
Mhm.
auditioning for one of the leading roles in this show. It was snowing outside. I wasn't used to the snow. I didn't have appropriate clothing. I was freezing. I was so unwell,
Yeah.
but I knew my lines. I was like trying to get ready for it, and I go into this audition and I had to sit on this chair and halfway through the audition I sneezed, but like this is gross, but like snot everywhere.
Mm.
And I fell off the chair because I kind of sneezed aggressively and the chair slid out
Oh
from
yeah.
underneath me and I
Mm-mm.
fell on the floor. And I kind of stood up and was trying to clean myself off and said to them, okay, like, let me start again. And they were like, no, that's fine, Alaska. Thank you. And I was like, okay, great.
I
So
just blew it.
embarrassing. But yeah, I was like, that they are not going to see me for a while. But it's okay. We all have done bad ones or had bad experiences in life. It's funny now because it was a while ago looking back on it, but I think that was probably the worst one.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I can understand that feeling.
Yeah.
But it's I would say that that it was just not meant for you.
No, it
You know.
wasn't. And that's okay. And that casting director has cast me and stuff since. So we've forgotten about it, I hope.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I mean that I ended up discovering that the most healthy way for you is whenever something doesn't work out for you, you could say it was, just try to thinking about that it wasn't for you, and that's it. It
Yeah.
happens. Some things are meant for you, some things are don't. So
Yeah. And whatever's meant for you is never going to pass you by. It's always going to find its way to you. So I stick by that too. Yeah.
absolutely. Now, let's say that one day I called you and I tell you that I want to become an actor. Now, here's the catch:
Hmm.
I don't know anything about acting. So, based on
Hmm.
what you know, what do you think would be? Yeah, what do you think that it would be a good place for me to start?
First thing I would tell you to do is get in class. I think that class is so important. Um,
Yeah.
Athletes don't just stop training. Like an Olympic athlete isn't going to not train to run, you know? So I think that being in class and constantly working on your career, and also make sure your mental health is good. That is such a big thing, I would say, is
Yeah.
consistently work to better your mental health and get it to a standing where you can kind of take the criticism and the rejection. Because I've seen people, some of my friends have tried to get into acting before, and it's just not been for them because they just couldn't really take it because they weren't almost ready to deal with being told they're not good enough so often.
Mm. Mhm.
So I'd say, like, get in class, work on your art, and also work to better yourself at the same time. And then when you feel like you're ready, try and go out and pitch to agents and do photo shoots and get your name out and do short films, all of that. Yeah.
And how you and now that you mentioned that, like, how you handle the whole rejection part. I mean, of course, nobody likes being rejected. So,
Yeah.
how you manage to keep a healthy mindset after, let's say, rejection after rejection after rejection the same day.
Yeah, I mean, it can get really difficult, especially when you kind of go through a bit of a dry period of
Yeah,
walking.
yeah,
Um, or if sometimes, like, I find with myself, I'm usually pretty good. I can kind of associate that them telling me I'm not good enough for this, or I'm not pretty enough for this, or I'm too tall for this, or whatever it may be, isn't a direct correlation with my self-worth. It's just what they view that they want for this particular job. And that's okay because I may not be what they want.
mm,
But I find it really hard when I get really, really close to things, or it's down between me and one other person for something really big, or I'm really close to booking something and then they go with the other person. That can be super difficult. Or sometimes when they give you kind of feedback or a correction that goes like straight for the jugular, as they say, where it's just
mm,
like, I know we're all touchy about really certain things with the way we look. So it's just if they say one of those things, it can be rough, but
yeah,
everything else, you kind of got to take it on the chin. Anything about your face or your body that can kind of be used will be
yeah,
commented on. So,
yeah. And do you have like a go-to song or something that you that kind of cheer you up whenever you are in like in those, yeah, I would say like dark places to be back on the
oh,
sun?
yeah, I have a whole playlist of like
Good.
serotonin songs, you know, and most of them are musical theater songs because I'm such a theater nerd. Or like, I love Renee Rapp, so random, but most of them are just really pumpy, like musical theater songs or
Yeah.
ballads. But yeah,
I like that. On my end would be "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go."
that's a great song. Yeah,
Like
I need to add that to the playlist.
you
Yeah,
you should definitely do it.
I
Because
should. That's a
it
great
does cheers
song.
you up a lot whenever you are like I would do that whenever I'm having like those bad days. I would just put that song and be like, okay, this is good.
Yeah, all of those types of like old solid songs are so good.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now let's say that for your birthday,
Mhm.
you get a time machine.
Yep.
Now here's the catch: you can only travel once and to meet the 13-year-old version of yourself. So what
Mhm.
would you like to say to that little you?
I would just say I knew what I wanted to do at 13, but I let a lot of people, like we were talking about before, kind of tell me it wasn't a viable option and it wasn't going to happen, and
Yeah.
I had to go to university and I had to get like a real job and all of that type of thing. So I would probably go back and tell her, like, stick to your guns. You know yourself the best. Go with your gut, go with your dreams, like follow it and work your little butt off.
Mm,
That's what I would say.
there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. And let's say that one day Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, you name it, they call you and they tell you this idea, which goes, they're gonna make a film
Mhm.
based on all of the characters you have played at the moment. They're all gonna gather to celebrate your birthday. But here's the
Yeah.
thing: the film needs a name. So how would you call it?
I do not feel like the characters I've played would get along. So I'm going to say disaster movie, disaster birthday lunch. It would be, I don't think they'd get along very well.
Okay.
I've played a lot of like, not always strong females, but like bold females, like always quite bold and strong personalities. So I feel like there would be a lot of clash in that
Hmm.
room.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds like a yeah. That sounds like a movie that I would like to watch.
Probably same, to be honest.
Yeah, just
I
for
feel
the
like it
mess
would be
of it.
entertaining.
You know, just for the mess of it. Be like, okay, let's see what
Yeah.
they got. So I
Yeah, I
like
think
it.
so.
I like it. What now? That being said, how would you describe your career as a drink?
That's a hard one. I've got to go with like a martini of some sort. Gin, because vodka, I can't do vodka. Just,
Mm,
but like a gin martini because it's almost like a slow burn, but like when it like burns well, you know?
mm, mm. Okay, I'll take it. And how would you call it? Let's say that if I go to a bar and I want to have that drink, how do I call it?
Ooh, like a, I don't know, I'd want it to be kind of fruity, like a spicy but fruity gin martini. That's what I want.
Okay.
We
Spicy.
can call it
Huh?
bad name, but I drink it.
Spicy fruit. No, what was it? Spicy
It
fruity?
was like a spicy but fruity gin martini.
Spicy fruity gin martini. Dry, not stirred.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Okay, I like it. Long, but I'll accept
You
it.
know, we could think of something better if I could think of
Mm.
a better name. We could call it Philippe after my bunny.
There you go. Yeah, because if I yeah, okay, yeah, it makes it is more interesting. Yeah, it is better that if I go to a bar and I ask for the whole name, yeah, you know,
People will be like, "What?" Yeah.
yeah, like, are you okay? Yeah.
If you're
Okay.
drinking that, probably not.
Yeah, then you probably had a bad day.
Yeah, right.
You're already giving too much with just ordering that drink. Absolutely. Now, like what motivates you? You know, we all have those days that we just want to quit. You know, regardless in what we're doing, we
Mhm.
just it happens. So how you
Oh
manage
yeah.
to to be back on your feet whenever you're having those thoughts?
I think the biggest thing for me is just really like centering myself
Mm,
and things like yoga and meditation and really getting back to like my core and my belief and what kind of sets my soul on fire for a better way to say it. And
yeah.
that is my work. So every time I'm having one of those moments that we all get where it's just feels too hard and unachievable, is just reminding myself how far I've come and all the amazing things I've gotten to do because of this career and all the amazing things that I still dream of doing and I'm working towards doing. And just that always just brings me straight back to there is no other option for me. I would not be doing anything else. Like, no is not a viable option for me when it comes to this. So that always kind of puts me back
Yeah.
on the right track. And having a good support system helps. Having people in your life who can just be there and listen to you vent and then tell you to keep working, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, which I mean it's hard, right? It's hard
Yeah,
whenever
it is.
whenever you want to kind of motivate yourself and to do stuff. I mean, it's whenever people would say like you just need to, be back on your feet and things like that, and you're like, yeah, but it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It can be. And also, whenever someone says something like, oh, just breathe through it, you just want to look at them and go, shut up, be
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah.
Because at the time, that's not what you want to hear.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is
And
helpful.
and like usually when you are in that process, do you like to stay alone? Like, do you like to kind of be alone, or you like what is your thing whenever you are on that motivation process again?
Yeah. I mean, I'm quite an introverted person. So I think that when it comes to any like super, super big feelings, I kind of want to be by myself to process it a little bit first before I gain support and help from anybody else, which can be a bad thing, but also that's kind of the way that I feel comfortable dealing with things. So that's, yeah, what I usually like to do.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
And my last question, if we could have this episode on a film, how should we call it?
This is definitely not my quote, but I think something like dreams don't work unless you do. That's my favorite quote. I think about that so often. It's like the motto of my life, that quote.
Okay. Because that's gonna be the title of this video. So
Yeah. So I feel like that's a pretty good title.
yeah, I think so too. Okay, I'll take it. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end, what can I say? I mean, it's incredible, Alaska, but also the fact that you went miles away, miles from home to pursue your dream. I mean, it is challenging, and the fact that you are, as we were talking before, that a new country, new culture. I mean, it's challenging, but the fact that you're making things happen, I mean, I think that's proof enough for everyone to be like, it is possible, because I do think that we tend to, whenever we want to, become a actor, singer, model, athlete, things like that,
Yeah.
we just tend to see like, like the big, like the big ones, like the A-list, things like
Yeah.
that. And when
Yeah, of
we
course.
and when we think about that, we were like, okay, then there's this huge road that I need to go there. But the fact
Yep.
that you're making things happen and you are showing, I mean, that's like badass, like deep badass. So
Thank you. It's all about showing up for yourself, right?
yeah, absolutely. I also want to
Yeah.
thank those who watched this video. Thanks so much for staying all this time to and hearing this chat here. Now this episode is about to be over, but in the description below you're gonna find all Alaska social media. Let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Alaska, because she's incredible. And again, thank you so much, Alaska, for making this happen. Keep creating, and most important, keep being this incredible badass of a sunshine person you are. And I'll
Thank you.
see you next one.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right.